Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about the measurement units. So far in this tutorial, we covered sketch concepts. We talked about how to create a construction geometry, how to draw a line, spline, circle, rectangle, and a slot, and we talked about a bunch of other things. And in the last video, we covered how to dimension them. We talked about general dimensions. And I'm sure you've noticed that I use millimeters as my default measurement unit, and you can change that to inches. You can do that permanently. You can set it up once and never have to worry about it, or you can temporarily change it as you're designing it. So we're going to talk about those options, how to permanently or temporarily change the measurement units. So first thing first, we need to also understand, I think we already talked about this in the previous videos, but I'm going to just say it again. You can click on the drop-down menu next to New button, and you can click on Part, and that's going to use the default template of Autodesk Inventor. But if you directly click on New, that's going to bring you a Create New File window. And in this menu, you can select a template that you created before. So for example, this standard IPT is a template I created, and I set up millimeter as a default measurement unit. I can select that, and that's just every time I dimension something, it's going to use millimeter. But I'm just going to close this and show you again. If I click on the drop-down menu and click on Part, that's not going to ask me what template I want to use. It is going to use the default Inventor template. So if I go to File and click on Options, that's going to take me to the Application options, and under the File tab, I can configure that default template. Now, if I click on that button, you see that it is set to millimeters. You can switch to inches, and after that, every time you create a part by using the default part template of Autodesk Inventor, it is going to use inches if you set that up and click OK. So right now it is set to millimeters, but that's where you change the default template measurement unit. But now, right now, we are in the part mode. Let's create a sketch and click on XY plane and select us, maybe draw a circle here and dimension that, say, 10 millimeters. Notice that it doesn't even display the unit of measurement right now because it is already set to millimeters. It is coming from it is a default measurement unit for the template. If I double click on it, I can see the unit next to the dimension. I can change this to, say, 10 inches. It will update it, but it will always, so right now, because I entered 10 inches, it is going to show me 10 inches when I go into Edit Dimension window, but the displayed measurement unit, displayed dimension will be in millimeters. So let's undo that. So if I want to change this temporarily, I don't want to change my default template, but I want to change it temporarily, I can go to Tools and notice that Applications options also available here. But I can click on Document Settings, and now on the Document Settings window, I can click on Units. I can change millimeter to inches, and I can say Apply and Close. Notice that the displayed dimension is updated. I can click on it. It still shows me what I entered. It still keeps what I entered, but the displayed dimension is now converted to inches. So I can say, for example, 2 inches. I didn't even have to enter the dimension. Now it is recognizing as 2 inches. I entered 2 inches. It is also displaying 2 inches. I can say 3. Now it is making the circle larger because now in this part only, temporarily, it is set to inches because I went into document settings, select units, and selected inches. I can go back to millimeter, and that's going to convert everything to millimeter. So you can go to, in the part mode, you can update the measurement unit by going in the document settings. If I close the part and create a new part, start a new part, it is going to go back to default setting of the template. So let's do that. Close this file. Yeah, I want to finish the sketch and close the file. Let's say I want to create a part. Notice that I set that measurement unit to inches in that part only. So that was a temporary change. So now I create a new sketch, create a circle and measurement. So it is back to millimeters because the default template is set to millimeters, But every time I'm designing something, I can go to document settings, and in that part alone, I can change it to any measurement unit I want. But every time I close that part, it will always go back to the default measurement unit, which I set up in the options, application options under file, configure default template, millimeters. As I mentioned in the beginning, I can always just click on new directly without using the drop-down menu. I can select a pre-created, pre-existing template that like standard IPT here that I created before. And in that template, I already have the millimeter set up as a default. We're going to talk about creating templates in the future. Right now, you don't have to worry about it. But for your default template, just know that you can change the default template units in the configure default template button here, or in the part mode, you can create a document setting. You can go into document settings and change the measurement unit temporarily. So one last thing that I want to talk about is, let's say we go back to the default. So it was, yeah, it is millimeters. Okay, we're in the sketch mode right now. I can also I can also type the measurement unit manually. So right now, so I can just enter 10 millimeters. It is directly recognizing that as millimeters because that's the default measurement unit. But I can just type 10 millimeters as well. It still recognizes that. I can also type 10, let's say 2 inches. Now, although millimeter is selected as the default measurement unit, it also recognizes the unit I typed here. I could have typed inches, 2 inch. It also recognizes that. I have never tried actually. Oh, no, it doesn't understand it. So let's just go with inch, 2 inch. Now, this is an expression that it accepts, but if I have typo here, it's going to say the expression cannot be evaluated. I can, for example, type 5 centimeters. It recognizes that. I can type 10 millimeters. It recognizes that. But the displayed dimension is always in millimeters. So again, to show that, if I go 5 inches, it converted that to millimeters because that's my default measurement unit, but it recognizes 5 inches even when I manually typed it. So in summary, you can go back to the application options and configure your default template. Every time you use the default template of Autodesk Inventor, it is going to use that unit as the measurement of unit, as a default measurement unit. And then you can go into part mode, and in document settings, you can change that for that part alone. But when you close it, it will go back to default. Or as you are typing the units, you can manually type it as well. But in the future videos, we're going to talk about how to create our templates and how to set it up and use a template that, or you already took care of a bunch of things in that template, so you don't have to do it over and over again. It saves you a bunch of time. Probably we're going to have another productivity video about that kind of stuff later. But thank you.